want to see a show of hands. How many of you is this your first time here to one of our author series? Oh, wow, a good number of you. So you may not know it, but you are here as a fundraiser for the Friends of the Ferguson Library. So my name is Alice Knapp. I'm the CEO of the Ferguson Library. As I'm talking, this is a great cue to you to turn down your phones. But the really exciting thing is that what the Friends do with the funding that they raise from our various different events. And one of the biggest things they do is they underwrite our other programs. So if you have children or grandchildren and they're here for Bubble Mania, that's the Friends who have done that work. If you've ever had a child in Stanford, you probably received a book from the Books for Baby program. So every child in Stanford receives, who's born in Stanford receives a book from the Friends of the Ferguson Library. Your children, if they went to the Stanford Public Schools, anytime since the 90s on, probably had a field trip to the Ferguson Library on our purple bus. Again, funded both of our purple buses by the Friends of the Ferguson Library. So they're just an amazing, amazing group, and they have put this together this evening for you, and the funds will go to help support them. But in this past year, what I will say about the Friends is that they've been my support system. As we have gone through book challenges across the nation, book challenges here in Stanford, they have stood behind us 100% of the way, and they even have a newsletter on intellectual freedom. And if you need information for signing up for that newsletter, you can visit their site on the website or just talk to me. I would love to sign more people up for that. But we're really here tonight to celebrate a wonderful author, and with that, Denise Marcel from the Friends of the Ferguson Library Board will do the introduction.
Thank you for being here. The author series of the Friends of the Ferguson Library are just thrilled tonight to welcome the powerhouse writer, Lisa Scottoline, #1 best-selling author and Edgar winner of 36 novels. Author of 36 novels. She's a former trial lawyer, and she's the author of legal thrillers, suspense novels, historical fiction, and memoirs. In addition to her books, she continues to write a weekly column, Chick Wit, which is a witty and fun take on life from a woman's perspective. She also reviews popular fiction and nonfiction, and her reviews have appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Philadelphia Inquirer. And tonight she'll be talking about her 37th book, The Unraveling of Julia. Once again, Lisa introduces us to characters and a world set in her native Philadelphia, in which a tragedy and a mysterious inheritance take the main character to Tuscany, where she winds up questioning her past and her sanity. Astrology, dangerous conspiracy, eerie historical parallels, visions and dreams drive this riveting thriller. And to paraphrase the author herself, she's gone gothic, baby. Everyone, please welcome me in welcoming Lisa Scottoline to the Ferguson Library.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Alice, for your lovely words, too. I appreciate it. I want to introduce you to my lawyer a moment. Eve. This is her first visit to a library, and thank you for letting me bring her. I just couldn't stand that she was in a cage. I was lactating as she was. Oh yeah, do you mind if we engage in capitalism for a moment? If you have a book, and thank you for that, would you mind holding it up and we will merchandise this baby? Well, this is exciting for me. First, I'm out of the house, which is incredible. I never get this far north. And I know some familiar faces. I'm not going to say old faces. Ah! Where are the virgins? Who has never been to one of my signings before? Oh, welcome. Come. Well, I will just tell you what to expect, which is just a good time, basically. You'll learn absolutely nothing. And I'm not going to read the book to you because I'm pretty sure you can read. But what I like to do is sort of tell you what gave rise to the book. Like, when I was young, I was lucky enough to take a course at Penn with Philip Roth, which was wonderful. And he gave us a novel to read every week. And he started each class by beginning a lecture that was completely extemporaneous. And he always began it the same way. He said, whenever you read anything, you need to ask yourself first, why this book? Why now? Why did the author write this book now? And I actually apply that to every book I read, but I also apply it to the books I write as well. And this book has a kind of a backstory that I thought I would share with you. It's not the typical Law and Justice car chase backstory, although those things are contained in this book too. It's a psychological thriller, and in some ways, it's even a spiritual thriller. So permit me to tell you, I'll tell you one story that you guys will have heard before. The others you have not, because I've never said them aloud in public, especially not amplified, which is scary. The first story really began with my beloved mother, Mary. She lived near me for a time, and then at some point she said, I'm going to live with your brother down in Miami. Now, my brother's gay in South Beach, and you can't compete with that for fun. Like, I would actually rather live with my brother than live with me. She said, all you do is read all the time. I know. So she moved down there with him, and one morning she woke up, it was a Sunday morning in Miami, and she was completely convinced that she had felt an earthquake. And she went to my brother and woke him up. Frank, everyone in our family's named Frank. My daughter's Francesca, it's very simple. Wake up, there's been an earthquake. He's like, Ma, there's no earthquake, it's Miami. No. She goes across the street. She wakes up the neighbor. Bruce, wake up, there has been an earthquake. He's like, Mary, please go back to sleep. But she doesn't. For a reason that none of us will ever know, she goes back into the house and she calls the Miami Herald. Mary Scottoline, age 82, cub reporter. I would like to tell you that there has been an earthquake. I know because I felt it. The guy says something to her that is along the lines of, you might be crazy. Whatever it is, it pisses her off. She gets angry. What's your name, she says. She writes it down. Now I'm going to tell you why. Look, I know we're in Greenwich and it's very classy. I tried to look nice, I wore pearls. But I'm still a girl of South Philly. There you go. And I have to tell you what the list is called, because my mother kept a list of the people that she was angry at. It was a rolling Newcomb of hate, and it was called the shit list. Can you say shit list in Greenwich and get away with it? Thank you. She writes his name down. He writes her name down, evidently not the only one with a shit list, and they hang up angry. 5 minutes later, he calls her up. Mary Scottoline, there has been an earthquake. She's like, I know, I tried to tell you that. But the kicker is that the earthquake my mother felt in Miami occurred in Tampa at the exact moment she felt it. She was the only woman and only person in South Florida who felt an earthquake that occurred in Tampa. And the proof was that she called the Miami Herald, and that's why they sent the news van to her house. My mother greeted them on the front lawn. She rushed out there. She was on the television. The chyron said, Earthquake Mary. This she loved. My brother, who, as I mentioned, is gay, but in a truly stereotype-defying way, has the worst fashion sense of any gay man in history. And so he puts on a mesh tank top to greet the television cameras. Why? Why does he wear it? I'll tell you. So you can see the map of Italy that is tattooed on his chest, and Milan is his left nipple. I'm just telling you, this is true. They meet the people on the lawn. They rush at my mother with the microphone, and they say, how is it? that you were the only person in all of South Florida that felt an earthquake that occurred in Tampa. And she looks at him and she says, because I know these things. And they ran screaming. The kicker is that later there was a hurricane in Miami, and I was worried about her because she was only 4'11". I was like, you're going to blow away, Ma. You need to come north. I'm making you come north. She gets on the plane. She's really mad. She gets off the plane, and there's a reporter interviewing people getting off the plane. And they come with her. They bring a microphone. It's a big mistake. You can't give us the microphones in my family. And they say, lady, did you come north because you were afraid of a hurricane? She looks at him. She said, I'm not afraid of a hurricane. I am a hurricane. Now, remember that, because I'm going to return to it. I used to think about that a lot, that whole thing, because I used to tell that story, when you've heard it before, that it has to do with her strength and her will and that kind of women really are forces of nature, aren't we, kind of? And I love that about her. But lately, I've started to think more about her. I know these things. And I guess because I started to think about my life and the little moments of my life that are a little bit hard to explain. For example, it was about 40 years ago that a friend of mine bought me as a birthday present a gift with a channeler. Now, if you don't know what a channeler is, I get it, because I didn't either, and I was completely skeptical. It's a person who's supposed to, like a medium, like a psychic, like she can read the spirits that are talking to you, and I'm like, okay, I'll go. It's a birthday present. I go with my friend. She's a plaintiff's lawyer, and her secret backstory is that she can't have children, and she's very sad about it. We go to the channel. My birthday's July 1st. We're sitting there sweating our buns off, just like now. And the channeler looks at my friend and says, now, I've never been to a channeler. She's like a nice blonde lady. It's a split-level house, not far from me now. And she closes her eyes and she says to my friend, I see 2 lights in your future. You will have 2 daughters. My friend couldn't have children, and being a plaintiff's attorney is not shy. And so says, you are full of shit. She actually says this to the channeler, which is like, I would not have, but she does. And the woman completely doesn't matter. She's fine with it. And she said, I'm telling you what is going to happen. You can choose not to accept it, but it's going to happen. And I go, well, my friend gets so mad. She said, forget it. Don't do me. Do her. It's her birthday anyway. So I sit there. Things are really going well on my birthday. And so the channeler closes her eyes. And she says, you're at a low point. Now, just by way of backstory, I'm telling you that I was at a low point. Like you couldn't look at me and know I was at a low point. I was divorced. I was miserable. I'm a single mother, kind of always have been. And I didn't know what was, I didn't know what was to do. I wanted to stay home with my daughter. I'd been a lawyer. I didn't know how to do any of that. She knows none of this, though. This is 40 years ago. There's not even an internet. You weren't even born yet. I'm telling you, I had already screwed up my life, so I was ahead of you. Here I am sitting there, and she says, you're miserably unhappy. I go, no shit, Sherlock, really. But she said, but your spirit guides are communicating with me. And I did not know I had a spirit guide. I was like, okay. But I'm listening, and she said, well, your spirit guides say to me that you're unhappy because you're blocking your soul's purpose. Your soul is trying to tell you what to do to be happy, but you're not listening. So I was like, what does my soul want? I'm agreeable. And she said, your soul wants you to be a storyteller, and you secretly want to be a writer. Now, I'm just telling you that as soon as she said that, I felt the words resonate. It wasn't just that she told me something about me that she could not have known, that I'd never told a soul, not even my friend. It was more that there was like a vibration. I know it sounds crazy. You could leave now if you want to go. I was like, this is nuts, but it happened to me. And then I walked out I walked in a skeptic and walked out a believer. That night started writing, and 1 year later, my friend had the first of her 2 daughters. That happened. This is that happened to her. The next thing that happened is this. Oh, hi, Eve. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it. Oh, wait, look, this is what a good mom I am. Wait till you see the peanut butter magic that's going to happen now. Okay, so the next thing that happens is even more personal. Here you go. Good girl. Now she'll just that'll be done in 7 minutes, but I have 3. So it's going to be a short talk. I was dating a guy. I was engaged to this guy. Come on, Blair. So basically what happened is my house sold really quickly. I was going to marry this guy. What happened? He said, why don't you move in with me? My daughter was about 4 at the time. Move in with me. We're going to get married anyway, and then we'll buy a new house together. This will all be great. This is going to be great. I go, okay, great. And I move in. This is great on a Sunday. Tuesday, it's not so great. By Tuesday, I'm starting to have some worries. First thing that happens is I bring home a bag of groceries, and I put them in the cabinets, and he said, you're putting them in wrong. I said, well, what am I doing? Well, all the pictures have to be facing out, and the name has to be facing out. I want to see the pork and beans. I want to be able to read. I'm like, well, all right, okay. I'm not that guy. I'm a little sloppy, but okay, I'm going to get better. Next thing is I'm putting the towels on the rack. Oh, you're doing that wrong. Oh, what did I do? Well, the towels, they're supposed to be the long ones on the left, then the medium ones there, and then the little one, and don't put the washcloth on top of the other towels, which actually wasn't a bad point. I was like, yeah, you don't want to get them wet. It's like a wet towel on the bed. You know, okay, all right, I'm working with that. What I start to worry about is by Thursday, because my beloved daughter, who is now a novelist, so if you meet her, don't tell her I told the story, was potty trained. And so the thing that I used to potty train her was the lure of the big girl underwear. Who doesn't love the big girl underwear? I mean, women will do anything for accessories, and my daughter is included in that. So basically, I got her underwear from Bloomingdale's. They used to say Bloomies on the back. Have you ever seen that? Yeah, it's really cute. And so he was coming home one day, and I was like cleaning up the apartment. I was like Wilma Flintstone. Like, you have to just, everything has to be nice and in order. The towels, the cans, the pork and beans, everything. And he comes in, and he sees on the floor. He picks something up. I said, what is this? I go, well, that's my adorable daughter's adorable underwear. And he's like, I think that's disgusting. I said, okay, so this is like Sunday morning. 1 week later, I go into the closet to put something away, his closet, and I look at all of the shoes. And all of his shoes are in the back, and they are, there's a black, then they're in line of color, like people who arrange their books by color. It was like black, then brown, and it was all orderly. And then each shoe had a thing inside that was like cedar. What is it? You're a classy guy, Robert. What is that called? Like a cedar tree or shoe tree? A shoe tree. Do people use those honestly anymore? Since 1910, has anyone used a shoe tree? I'm like, I'm looking at this. Okay, I'm getting it. This is my point. I looked at it, and then I heard a voice. The voice said, save your own life. I know, it should have said get out, but evidently my spirit guides are a little dramatic. I was like, oh, wow. It said it. I heard it. It wasn't a girl's voice. It wasn't a boy's voice. It wasn't any voice I know. I'm like, these shoes are talking to me. Like, these topsiders have a lot to say. And I think that might be right. And the next day, I moved out. Okay, that happened. 2 more quick stories, and then I'll make an incredibly profound point. Sadder story. My beloved father is in the hospital. He is in bad shape, but we don't think he's going to die. I'm there with him. My brother's about to come. My brother comes. My father looks up. He goes, there's my buddy. And that turns out to be the last sentence he ever says. Because he starts to look bad, and my stepmother comes in the room, and we all look, oh my God, something's wrong. And then it was like on TV where somebody says stat and code and words that you only hear on, like, you know, The Pit. And rushing in, and carts, and people yelling, and a resident, a guy, my stepmother's crying very hard. I'm holding her. I feel very calm. And I'm just telling you, you've known me now, what, 12 minutes? I'm not a calm person. I'm intense and excitable. This is how I am. You should see me on caffeine. You'll become homicidal. I'm divorced twice for a reason, is what I'm saying. So, my stepmother's crying. I'm all calm. I'm directing people. I'm going, Frank, my brother. They're all Frank, remember? Go to Dad. Tell him we love him. He does it. The resident who's there, my stepmother is crying a lot. We're a dramatic family. He actually turns to me and says, you guys don't belong here. I know. I was like, dude, don't even. Okay, you don't even know that guy's first name, and he's my dad. But that's a digression. We all they finally stopped trying to save his life, because and then they say, we think he's going to pass, but I could tell you the exact moment he passed, because I felt an enormous surge of feeling that was good. It felt, I was really close to my father. It felt like being with my father. My father was mellow and sweet and fun and loved to talk and was an architect. And I was like, I'm with my dad. I felt like I was inoculated. And I know it. I know that happened. And since then, I've read books that say that is not uncommon. That can happen if you're with someone when they pass and you were close to them. And finally, we can return to my mother. Mother Mary, the little feisty hurricane in our family, who the day of her funeral, my best friend Laura is here, she was with me. We walked home after the funeral. We walk in the door. My entrance hall, I've lived in this house that I live in Pennsylvania for 35 years. I have an entrance hall. It has never once flooded. And I'm not talking about water on the ground. I'm talking about like a foot of water. It was crazy. We couldn't even find out where the water, it was raining. We couldn't even find out where the water was coming from, how it got in. But it was in the entrance hall. We had to open it, we're getting brooms, and I thought, Hurricane Mary. She was saying, I'm going to be okay. Now, what's the point of all of this? The point of all this is I'm starting to have some respect for the fact that, even though I believe in science, that we can't explain everything that happens to us. And part of my job as a writer, and I sort of think just part of my job as being in the world and as a person, is to pay attention to how I'm feeling and try not to deny it. My mother used to say, be yourself. Whenever I was nervous, exams, whenever, anything, just be yourself. And being yourself is part of being in touch with your soul. And so when I sat down to write this book, why now? I was thinking, well, I get to make up a character. I don't write with an outline. You know that, because I'm not going to move in with the guy and then find out he doesn't like my daughter's underwear, which is what? Like, I'm not a planner. I'm like, okay. And so I said to myself, well, I've got to write a character who, by the way, is a woman who lives in our time. This is a contemporary thriller. And if you're going to live in our time, you're going to have, this is a fairly sophisticated literary term, and it is agita, right? We have a lot of agita right now, right? Whether you're red team or blue team, you're probably a little stressed out right now. Oh, and by the way, it's hot as hell, and we're all worried if it's the end of the earth, so there's that. And also, there's war. So things are really a little bit of flux. And I think that when you are going to, so I couldn't write a character, as very nice, Alex gave me this intro, 36 books. Well, my first book had like a shiny lawyers who knew what was right and had a lot of confidence and everything was going well and law led to justice. But I couldn't write that book now and have it resonate at all. So I have a character named Julia, and she comes to me. And what happens is, well, I won't give you, spoilers, but the bottom line is she's walking down the street in Philadelphia, and sadly for my beloved hometown, you knew because of how I talk. This is how I talk. Thank you. Unfortunately, when I go to Minnesota, they say, can you talk slower? And I say, no, but can you listen faster? Because that's all I can do. I can't help it. So they're walking down the street. She's walking down the street with her husband. And right then, Julia, who has never believed in the spiritual world at all, realizes that she is experiencing a premonition. And this premonition is something is terrible about to happen right now, and then it does. A bad guy comes around the corner, there's a mugging, and it's gone wrong, and her husband is knifed to death in front of her. There follows, obviously, grief, questioning, wondering. She starts reading her horoscope. She turns to her faith also. She starts reading her horoscope. She's seeking. She's a seeker. In times of stress, we tend to seek. Time for the second Kong. Excuse me. Yeah, look at that. It's Christmas. And the next thing that happens is kind of equally remarkable, is that she gets a letter out of the blue from a lawyer in Italy. It says, wow, amazing news. You have inherited millions of euros and a Tuscan villa. The only problem is she doesn't recognize the name of her benefactress. The person named Amelia Rossi, I don't know any Amelia Rossi. Well, she's adopted. She doesn't know her birth family. So Well, she's going to have to go to Tuscany. She's going to figure it out. She's thinking it's going to be under the Tuscan sun, really pretty, tall cypresses, incredible villa, hot guys. Okay, none of that's true. The villa is a dump. You know, it's cloudy a lot. There is a hot guy, and I wrote you a sex scene from memory. You have to see how I did. I don't love saying that in front of you. You're like my dad, Robert. I don't like saying that in front of you. And there she has to figure out, there's bad things start to happening. And what do you think ensues? Unraveling. Unraveling ensues, right? All of this kind of questioning. It's partly grief. I think if you get to be a certain age, you know what grief is. And it destabilizes her, it uproots her, and she starts to really seek even more than ever before, not only for her spiritual quest, kind of, but also for her identity. Who is she? I have some adoption in my family. I found out late in life that I had a half-brother and a half-sister I didn't know about. I know. Met my half-brother at a signing. He was in my signing line. I said, how would you like me to sign your book? He said, to Gene, my brother. I was like, what? Okay, then I found out that I had a half-sister I didn't know about when she came to my door once and said, you know, I'm your sister and I really like your books. Now, I really like to make new readers. I just didn't think I was going to get them that way. And the weirdest thing is, her name is Jean, too. And my brother said, we should just name them both Jean Poole and be done with it. So she was adopted out, and before you feel bad for her, she was adopted by 2 Stanford professors, and I got a lot of people who can remember one name, and it's Frank. You know what? She's fine, and we're friends today. But I guess what I'm saying is that when you have adoption in your family, you start to have a great respect for the fact that you only know what you are told. Now we have technology. You can look up blood. You can do that, and Julia does all that stuff. But she has to figure out who her relative is, and I'll add this one point. When she starts to research the person who left her this money in this really dumpy villa, but the money's good, she finds out that this person who might be about the age of her grandmother, so she's operating on the theory it's her birth grandmother, that woman turns out to be not like Aunt B. Does anyone get that reference? Yay! My tribe is here, right? She thinks she's gonna be a sweet old lady. What she is reclusive, paranoid, bitter, hated, a pariah in the town because she believes she has delusions of grandeur and she believes that she's related, if not channeling, you see where I'm getting this from, if not channeling a woman named Caterina Sforza, who was a real life person, who was the only female ruler during the Italian Renaissance and kind of a real badass. And this woman believes that she's related to her and that she might have her spirit. And then Julia starts to research it and says, you know what? I think she might be right. And not only that, I think I might be related to her too. And not only that, I think I'm kind of channeling her too. That's the unraveling part. So that's the kind of stuff that feeds into this book. I hope that you like it. I think it ends up being I'll say this one last thing. We joke saying, I'm going gothic, baby. What do I mean by that? I wasn't sure if I wanted to even say that because I think the first people, if you say gothic, people think, too much eye makeup. Black nails. What is going on? You're gothic. But really, there is a traditional, I think the most accessible book you can think of in this is Rebecca. Traditional gothic is a female protagonist who is an ordinary person, not a sleuth, not a female cop, just a lady like you and me. And she basically is confronted with something really, a really hard life problem, but also that might have a supernatural tinge. Normally there's a spooky house. Normally there's I put it in a Vespa, but you know, a romance. And that's really what I wanted to really go for, because I think all of my books, usually it's a female protagonist, but not always. But I think it's always this. It's always a regular person who gets confronted by something that can really throw them. I don't write with an outline. And I feel like life is like that. You don't really know what twists and turns are going to get thrown. And you have to deal with it. And that's what happens in these characters. So in a way, I think every book ends up being, and this one in particular, more than any other. Because this woman is dealing with everything all at once. and whether she's going to survive it, her sanity intact, her soul intact, find love again, and get the dog to behave herself through the entire talk. Wow, things are going well. That's the kind of stuff that's in this book, and that's what I think is in every book. I think always I'm writing a little pep talk for myself. You can do it. And so in the most stressful times we might be having as a country, I think you can see that this person's having a lot of stress too, and you hope that, and I believe that we're all sort of little forces of nature, and that we all can come through it, and that we do have strength, more strength than we knew. So that's the stuff that's behind this book, but I'll open up to any questions you have or any comments you have. Thank you, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Yes, in the back.
Question. Okay, you wrote one book about a child stolen in Italy. I don't know if it was called Loyalty, but it was a
Yes.
total departure from anything you have written.
Yeah. Good for you. You're right. Well, here's what I'd like to think. First off, I know how lucky I am. I am a single mom. I, as you know, secretly always wanted to write, then started 36 books and 36 years ago. I went broke trying. I lived on credit cards. I will never forget the day. Now, everything my daughter has was on credit cards. And I would take her to Chili's once a month because that was where you could go and use a credit card. So my child had never been to McDonald's. So I remember taking her to McDonald's for the first time at age 7, and she had never been in one except for a Chili's. So she looked around the McDonald's, and she looked up, and I said, the menu's over there. And she said, but where are the appetizers? Every head turns, who's this little brat? I'm like, no, she's completely broke. She just doesn't know it. I tell that story because I didn't have a plan for my career. My plan for my career was just to hopefully write and tell stories and stay home and raise my daughter. I wanted to tell stories that I think were the kind of women, I started out writing a lot of women that I remembered, like Nancy Drew, right? The girl detective. I loved the idea that she was just a girl going anywhere in her roadster, nobody's passenger, had no plan, usually finding something that's missing. And usually it's a timepiece. You know, it's the mantle clock, it's this kind of clock, it's this watch. Once a staircase is missing, I don't get that. I know where my staircases are. My cell phone, I might lose. My staircase, I'm on it. But when I started out, I just want to tell stories. Then I started writing a series of legal thrillers. After a while, I said, well, I kind of want to write men too, because I really like men. I remember men fondly. And then I said, well, I kind of want to write domestic stories, because I love families. And then I was like, well, they're all thrillers, because I think, I'm president of Mystery Writers of America. I like stories about justice. A lot of thrillers will, if you're writing a really good thriller, you're reading a really good thriller, that will be implicated in some way. And so I was like, okay, you're right. Start with legal thrillers, then domestic thrillers. And I started to feel more as I've gotten older, and maybe you feel that way too, that I feel so much, I love history. Right? I'm interested in history, the resonance of history. And I thought, well, I wanted to write Eternal, which is the first historical thriller I've ever written, which is the story of the Jews of Rome, which is a story that had never been told and was absolutely true, but I kind of wrapped it into fiction. And after that, I followed it up with Loyalty, another historical thriller, because I learned then that sort of the advent of modern psychology occurred in the most unlikely place of all, which was Sicily. And now I'm doing a psychological kind of / spiritual thriller. So I don't view, you're right, they seem like departures, and you might be right. I might be kidding myself. But I view them as all aspects of the same type of story, which is it'll be a story about an ordinary person in a terrible situation. And the elements of love, whether it's romantic love or love between best friends. There's really good friends in this. My best friend's here tonight with me. You know, you want to talk about who your spirit guides are? Isn't it your girlfriend? Laura and I have been friends for 37 years. She was my first publicist, and it's her birthday Saturday, so. And now I forgot what it was. I got all excited thinking about you, Laura. So it's something, there'll be something about love, love of country, love of justice, something about justice, and something about family, because that's the stories I opened with, right? My mother, my father, my brother, and the genes I didn't know about in my genes. It's extremely confusing. So thank you for your observation. You're right. But I hope that people, and what I started to tell the story why I started writing is because I wake up grateful every day. I love this job. I love being able to, that channeler was right. It has made me happy to do this. And I'm lucky enough to have a wonderful publisher who will give me the freedom to write what I want, and wonderful readers. You guys have been reading me for 35 years. We've known each other since the first book. 30 what? Dirty Blonde. That's right. I like that title. So I feel very lucky to be able to have readers who will support me as I try to grow in different ways. But the themes are always the same: love, family, and justice. And maybe a dog. Also carbohydrates, extremely important. A lot of good food in this book. Other questions? Yes, please.
How hard was it to find that first?
Well, I had 5 years of rejection. You heard the question. How hard was it to find the first publisher? I had 5 years of rejection. My favorite rejection letter was from an agent in New York who said, "We don't have time to take anybody, and if we did, we wouldn't take you." I will tell you that about 10 years after that, I was speaking at Book Expo as a keynote speaker. And who do I hear coming behind me? He's saying, "Lisa, Lisa." And I'm going, "That's the guy. Oh, that's the guy." I'm like, "Oh, sorry. I don't have any time to talk to anybody. But if I did, see how dark I can be? I seem real cheery and sunny, but really I have a dark side." So it was hard. There's 5 years of rejection. The first novel that I wrote when the channeler told me to start writing never got published. And then I lost it. Do you remember floppy disks? Please, God. If you remember Aunt B, you remember floppy disks. Yeah, it was on a floppy disk. Now I don't know where the floppy disk is. But I'll tell you one thing which is kind of also a little woo-woo. The title of that book was Fairy Tale. And it had elements that this book has. And then the reviews, which were wonderful of this book, said this was a fairy tale for adults. Okay, ask me anything being silly. Yes, please. Right, so the question is, your last couple of books have been about Italy. Why did you do that? I think because I'm Italian-American, and it's my favorite food. And it was really kind of great because I sort of, especially, you know, there's a tradition of Italian Gothic novels. And that's what I wanted to harken back to. And I went to Tuscany to research this book. And it was fascinating. And you learn stuff that, like, you never would have learned if you hadn't gone there. And also I kind of wanted to talk, as I said, about the dark side of Tuscany. So do you have those grapes really get harvested? And what is it really like to live in Tuscany? And so I just like the setting, because I like a setting that will give you history. Right? If you set a novel in Florence, like this one has scenes in Florence, you're looking at medieval architecture. They live among it. And I do think there's an ethos there that I kind of wanted to get into the books. And it's also just fun to travel to Tuscany. Is anyone here watched me on Monday nights on Facebook Lives when I did? Yes. Well, I would talk about the novel and show. Laura and I went to do the Tuscan research together. Where'd you go? I need to see you. And we took videos. Did you see them? Yes, exactly. And all of those videos are on my website at scottoline.com. When you read the novel, they make a wonderful companion to the novel. Your book club might be interested. Oh, what does it look like in this part of Florence? We found a little town that I modeled it on, San Donato and Poggio, it's called. Oh, you want to see what that town's like? It's drop dead gorgeous. Take a look. If you're not going to get to Tuscany anytime soon, it's all there. I just like it. I think it's cool. Yes. Other things. Yes, please. Yes, I do. I'm writing it now. And actually, it's sort of the follow-up to this book, because I felt that Julia was such an interesting character. You know, I've written like the legal thriller series, which by the way is being optioned for television, if any of you Rosado and Donanzo are fans. Yes, I know. And so is The Truth About the Devlins, if you read that last time, a domestic thriller. Where's my girl? I need to, I can't. Where did you go? Yes, there you are. Now I forget the question now that I've actually seen you. What was the question again? Oh, so not every main character is series worthy. And not every plot can be extended or should be. And you kind of know it when you're writing it. As I said, I don't write with an outline. So if you say, do you know the end? I'm going to say, no, I didn't even know the middle. Like the surprise ending is really a surprise to me. I was like, oh man. And then when I got, but this character had so much depth and so much travail, and I'm not like complimenting myself because I really do think they get a life of their own. I really do believe that I thought, I can't let her go yet. And I have felt that in the past, and that became a 17-book series. This is just going to be 2. So that's what I'm writing next. It's another part of Julia and her coming to reckon with, does she have a gift of clairvoyance? How does that feel to all of a sudden have shoes talk to you and think reliably that that can happen? I mean, I don't know. I'm putting myself in her shoes and trying to figure it out. It becomes something, it actually becomes to me a very physical manifestation of every, I'm going to say every woman's because that's I'm a girl, every woman's struggle to trust herself. Every man feels that too. Sometimes you go, you've just got to trust yourself. And it's so hard. Sometimes you get opposite signals. You should edit yourself. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't wear this. And especially moms who do so much for everybody in the family, they're not always putting themselves first. They're not always doing for themselves or thinking what they really want. And that's why Julie had to come back again. So that's what's next. Yes, please. This is really fun. You feel like Oprah.
Is there a car?
Yes, there's a car.
Great.
Amazing.
You mentioned at the beginning of your remarks tonight that you don't very often come this far north on a tour. So I'm curious, where are you more likely to go on a book tour?
Well, I go wherever I'm invited. I have to get invited. So, I mean, I guess I've come up here for the Connecticut Library Association a bunch of times. Yes. I'm a huge fan of libraries. I didn't give my library love speech, but maybe I should take a moment to do that. Let me do that for a minute. The way tours get set up is, you know, I'm lucky enough to have a tour. I get to go and meet readers. This is my funnest thing ever. And I'd like to get farther north, so I'm very glad that my beloved publisher sent me. But libraries are special to me. I told you about my family. We grew up, we were super, super tight, and well, she's fine. But you know what? There was no books in my house. There was actually one book in my house, you can't say. The book in my house, guess what book was in my house? Aren't you nice? This must be Greenwich. No, the book. Oh, well, it's kind of, it's not the same. Good to know. Let me get my bra strap away when I take this information in. It's not the same. Stanford is not Greenwich. It's like what? Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. All I'm saying is this. I forget where I was. What was the book in my house? You think it's the Bible. This must be Stanford. The book was TV Guide. They didn't read anything for fun. Anytime I read, they would say, my mother would say, stop reading, you will ruin your eyes. Go out and play. And it wasn't until my school librarian said to my parents, your kid loves to read. My parents were like, I know, it's so stupid. She won't go out and play. And basically they said, take your daughter to the library. My beloved father took me, parked out in front of the library, sat in the car like a dog, rather than go in, because those days libraries didn't have television, they only had books. What are you going to do with books? And I will swear to you that on the spine, and now I'm like 12 in a library going, well, how do you pick a book? Like, how do you pick a book? You're all by yourself. And on the spines, well, my library, which was Bala Cynwyd, PA, yay. Okay, see, huh? On the spine, there was a man in profile who had a really big nose. And as you see, I have a really big nose. My mother likes to say we get more oxygen than anyone in the room. And we do. Like if I breathe in, it's all over for you. But I'm looking at this guy with the big nose, and I'm relating very heavy to him. It reminds me of my Uncle Rocky. And so I start reading all the Uncle Rocky books. And it turns out that that guy is not even Italian. His name is Sherlock Holmes. And that's why I'm a mystery writer today. It ain't pretty, it's just true. But the best thing the library did for me, besides totally speak to me, because you're telling me my parents love me, but when I crossed that library threshold, I felt like I was with people who understood me. That I wasn't like some weird kid who wanted to read. It was great that I wanted to read because the librarians wanted to read. And the most magical thing to me was my library card. And I will tell you that it was orange and it had a little metal plate. Did you ever have that here? Okay, so the metal plate, you would ink it. And so that you could bring it home, and if you were that much of a book geek, you could take it home and do this and have on your thumb 5359, and that is my cell phone number today. And the reason is because that library card was, to me, it was like a passport. It was like a ticket to the people who love what you love. And it meant so much to me to have it. I mean, how can I remember every little thing about it? But I do. And I guess I want to say, and this is probably a good time to conclude, that I'm very happy when libraries will invite me anywhere. And what I want to say first is thanks to you for supporting your library. This is an amazing place. But also that I like to come, and even though I'm an author now, I feel that I come and I stand in the shoes. It's almost me being a lawyer again in a representative capacity. For every kid that walks through that threshold, that maybe they're loved at home, maybe they're not. But maybe they are, but they're not really understood. You provided for me a world and a life and a career. And I don't know if librarians know that they do that, but they should. And I'm really glad that you invited me here so that I could tell you that. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I guess we should let him go, right? You have a life. Yes. Oh, sure. I have no idea what time it is. Are you okay? I have nowhere to go.
How did you get your daughter to get involved in writing? Did she follow your lead? Did she see such a wonderful role model that you
Oh,
were?
yeah, that's it.
That's it, right?
You're so nice to ask. She's asking my daughter, is named Francesca Saratella, that little girl with the cute little bloomies underwear. She just is about to publish her second novel next week, 2 weeks from now, called Full Bloom, which is really wonderful. And as for your question, how did I get her to do it? I wanted a vet. Okay, I need a vet. I have 3 dogs, 7 hens, and a pony. Okay, so I'm glad that she became, but she loved books. And she wanted to write them, and nothing I could do could stop her. And, so thank you for your very kind question. I'm very proud of her book. I hope you guys will take a look at it. I think you'd love it. But I was proud of her. You know, I'm happy with whatever she wanted to do. I'm just thrilled she chose this too. All right, maybe last question. I don't know what time it is. Am I okay? You go first. Is that all right? Do you have time? All right, you go first, then you. Mm-hmm.
Say this. I'm half Sicilian and half in Naples. So did you somehow, like, because your parents didn't have books in the house, they had the TV Guide, which I would contend is actually a magazine, not a book, but, you know, I used to...
Are you a lawyer?
No, my sister was. But did you feel somehow that you went into the legal profession because your parents expected that?
You know, my father went to one of my signings at Barnes & Noble, and someone said to him, "You must be so proud of her." And he said, "Lady, I was proud of her the day she came out of the egg." That's the kind of love I had. So my parents didn't expect anything. They were really just be happy. They were like be happy parents, which is kind of great, honestly. And frankly, just to be real with you, I went to law school because of Perry Mason. Perry Mason was great. And I still get that. I love justice questions, and I love writing about them. I think people, if I can say so, love reading about them, because you don't need a law degree to decide what's just. It's really a question of what's fair, what's ethical, what's moral, what's legal is a really teeny tiny part of it. And I went into that because when I was growing up, if you were good at English, you went to law school. I had to make a living. And so I wish it were, you know, a loftier, I have to think of a lofty answer that people go, oh, but the real truth is Perry Mason got me there and I needed to earn a buck. You had a question. My friend.
Yeah, before COVID, you had us come to your home, the book clubs from all over the country. Will you be doing that ever again?
This was the greatest thing, and I can't take credit for it because it was Laura's idea. Well, you know, I'm so happy. A lot of book clubs read my books. And I still have my mother's voice in my head of going, if you really appreciate somebody, you have to have them over, and you got to feed them. And so Laura said, why don't we just invite him over? So the first year we had 100 people. I bought one of those coffee urns because I'm not a big entertainer, so I'm like, oh, I need to get this thing. We plug the thing in, all the people come, the thing shorts out all the electricity in the house. It's a total frigging nightmare. We did that party for 15 years. By the way, by the end, it was 500 book clubs a day, 500 people on a Saturday, and 500 people on a Sunday. And it was in Time magazine. It was this wonderful thing because it was really just a bunch of people who really love books hanging out at my house, which is a farm, so there's room, and having carbohydrates, and that's what's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that. Now, in answer to your question, COVID ended it. And that's really sad. We talk about starting it up again. We may start it up again. But I'm so happy to see you here. It really is special. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was, oh, that's really, I was fishing for that compliment. Wait, how fantastic was it?
It was so memorable. We can't wait to go back.
Oh, that's really, would you guys come back? What was the name of your book club? I forget.
Toes in the Sand Book Club in Hilton Head.
Sand, Hilton Head. It was so great. People would fly in from all over. You guys, it was a great thing to do. Well, that's a great point of books, you know. Books bring people together. I mean, they do. You could just see these women. And I learned that, well, obviously I knew that, but I used to get invited to talk to book clubs, and I would go. And I'll tell you a quick story. I'm sitting there. The first 5 minutes are about the book. And then everybody starts talking about everything. And then one of the women looks up and says, oh, I'm so sorry. We're supposed to be talking about your book. And I said, you are. Because I heard people talking about their grandkids and their cholesterol and their rescue dog. And what I was seeing, how old's your book club? 20 years?
But 10.
10. And are you in more than one? A lot of people are more than one. And what I was seeing is that people, the intimacy you formed, to me, if you talk to another person about a book, you say, I love this book because this X, Y, and Z. I hate this book. It was so stupid because. And when the because is you. And when you talk to somebody about a book, you build that intimacy. And I could see the ease these women have. 10 years together, 20 years together, 30 years together, just talking about these questions that the book raises. That is the purpose of the arts, for us to understand ourselves and our commonality. That was the best thing about that book club. That's just seeing everybody just get together and trade phone numbers and take pictures, and I hope I get to do it again. I really, really do. But I'm glad you came. You have to give my best to your book club. Yes, Lester. What sad things did I put? Wait, she said, I know you're an animal lover, but why do you put sad things about animals in your books?
Like bear got kicked down the stairs.
That is a true thing.
And the wolf got stabbed in the eye.
Well, the wolf was going to kill her. Listen, I'm a vegetarian. Right, okay. I can defend myself. I'm a defense lawyer. Here's my case. First one, you're right. There was one of the early Benny Rosado books. The dog was named Bear, is my dog. And the mean lady kicks the dog, and the dog goes down the stairs. And I was like, oh, I hate this. But it showed how mean she was. But since then, I would have never done it again. However, you raised the question of Mango the cat in the Devlins. I'll briefly, did anyone here read The Truth About the Devlins? Great, thank you. So you'll know T.J. Devlin is a flawed character, right? In a time of agita. He's a guy in recovery. He is not going to have a linear, always do things right. And actually what happens is because he's not attending his cat and he actually relapses, the cat has a diabetic attack, because I had a diabetic cat, so I know. And that's actually what makes him realize something's counting on me. Something loves me, and I have to be there for it. So really, I thought, it's kosher. No, you maybe? I'll take maybe. Well, that's it. He loved animals too, and he had to realize that he was letting them down. Animals are everything in my life. I live alone. I mean, I have, her. I was told by my chicken vet, yes, I have a chicken vet, that I have the oldest hens in Pennsylvania because I'm that good to them. Yes, we've all run out of eggs at my house, but no one's, twisting our neck. It's a little vivid, I'm sorry. All right, yes. Anything else? All right, well, I think we should let them go, don't you? Well, listen, you guys, thank you for this. I really appreciate you coming out. I will come back to Stanford. Thank you very, very much for all of your support. I love you all, and I appreciate it. Thank you. What's happening?
Oh, okay.